Okay, another classical neurotransmitter is something called acetylcholine, and acetylcholine was actually discovered by this stern-looking individual here named Otto Lowy in Austria. He actually did this rather dramatic experiment that actually illustrated how neurons do use chemicals actually to transfer information, from the presynaptic terminal to the next cell. He actually examined the vagus nerve, which actually is part of the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system that slows down, for example, heart rate. And he looked at the parasympathetic connection onto a heart. It was a frog heart. And he had a frog heart sitting there in a little dish, beating, right? It was isolated from the frog, but it was still alive and still beating. And he stimulated the nerve, to the heart, and the heart slowed down. And then he took a little eyedropper, and he pulled the fluid out, right? And he dripped it onto another heart that was beating happily away in the next petri dish. And that heart also slowed down. So he was illustrating that by stimulating that neuron, by sending that action potential down that neuron, some sort of chemical had been released that had influenced the function of the heart. He knew nothing about receptors at this point, or about the mechanics of vesicle fusion with the presynaptic membrane and release of neurotransmitter, but he got the fact that chemicals carry information from the neuron to the tissues that they influence, including other neurons. So he actually referred to this neurotransmitter that was released, this chemical, as vagus stuff, right, because it came out of the vagus nerve. And it turns out that this is acetylcholine. And neurons that release acetylcholine are actually called cholinergic neurons. These are the receptors at which acetylcholine acts are going to be very important for a number of important cognitive and also sort of behavioral functions, including memory. They're also the site of action of a very widely abused substance known as nicotine.